So Anthony Stolarz, we were wondering what was going to happen with him and his contract, and he ends up signing for 4 years, $3.75 million. Works out to $15 million total.
It's a great deal.
$15 million total. So great deal for both parties. One party,
both
parties.
So here's why. And we had this debate. I think you had your was Sarah Davis hot or not comment or whatever about it. Like, when other goaltenders were signing, everyone's like, oh, you got to give him $5 million or $6 million. He played 34 games, career high last year, but was fantastic in those games. Like, his numbers were off the charts. This is a guy at 31 years old. What you are is he's matured into a very, very good goaltender because he's been around the league and he was traditionally a backup. Now he's in a situation where he's not only in a tandem, but he can be your one. So you're giving him some stability in net, a 4-year deal. But the Leafs have stability now. Like, this is a guy that, for the most part, if he's healthy, he can play every night or close to it. Now, can he get to 50 games, 55, whatever? We'll see this season. Right now, he's the guy. With Joseph Woll not available to the team, you've got the Hildebeest and you've got James Reimer. And James Reimer, I think, is going to – I'd be shocked if he doesn't get a game here in the preseason or at least get a little bit of a look. But you've got a guy that has proven that he can play a really high level at 3.75. That's what third and fourth liners are making in the league. Like, I think it's an unbelievable deal from the organizational standpoint, but from a guy who's never signed for massive money either. That's $15 million he's putting into his pocket in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
He might have been able to get more, to be honest. I think if he played out the season and decided I'm going to be unrestricted, you could probably go somewhere and get something with a 4 in it or maybe a 5 in it if you have a great season. But he showed allegiance to the Leafs that brought him in last year. He knows it's a good situation. I think it's a win-win. It's an unbelievable deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that last point is important because with the Marner exit, there's a lot of emotion in the market, and the you hear this from people and it's always ignorant and quite frankly wrong.
Right.
The market's too tough. Run people out of town. Stolarz couldn't wait to sign, he signed. Nyes couldn't wait to sign, he signed. Tavares couldn't wait to sign, he signed.
Yeah.
Right? Like McCabe a year ago couldn't wait to sign, he signed. Like, I could go on and on and on, the amount of players that
Domi.
I could go on and on and on, the amount of players that couldn't wait to re-sign or couldn't wait to stay here or wanted to stay here, got deals done. And is it different for everyone? Of course. And this isn't about Mitch. Like, Mitch, okay, he chose, he wanted to go, but that doesn't mean this isn't just crazy and it's not a good place to play or the players aren't insulated or they don't feel protected or they don't feel like they're in a good spot, because there's a much longer list of players dying to stay or dying to sign here than there are that want to leave or don't want to be here. And this is another example of it.
I would circle, and this is unfair, but I'm going to point it out. A guy like Philip Grubauer. That guy left a Stanley Cup winning team. Philip Grubauer, good goaltender.
Left Colorado to go to Seattle.
Go to Seattle, got an extra year, a little extra money. He was available to the whole league because Joey Decord is their guy. So he got a little bit more money and some security, a little bit more security, but he went to a team that was an expansion team, and they've taken their lumps, and I don't know if they're a playoff team again this year, where he could have stayed in Colorado in a really good situation. And why I'm comparing that, it's apples to oranges, but it's more Anthony Stolarz knows what he has here. He's got a good team, good defense, great coach, all of that type of stuff, knows how to play behind it. Like, why not stay? And why not say, give me 4 years, but I want a number. I need $15 million. Okay, let's work it out.
Yeah, and that's what I figured was the bold number. I thought he'd be thinking $20 million bold.
Yeah.
And maybe the Leafs were thinking 10 or 12, and they met somewhere in the middle. It ends up with 15, right? It ends up a $15 million bold number, and he got trade protection, which, again, I think the Leafs, felt they had to throw in there to get the cap hit down. Listen, I think it's a win for the team, the cap hit, clearly. It's a win for the player, the term. That's he's got this year and next. He's got 5 years left for a 31-year-old who, like you said, has not had a ton of runway as the starter, but he's kind of avoided betting on himself. Like, there's two ways to look at it. You can bet on yourself, or you can say, you know what, I want to get this done. And a lot of players are different. We talked to Ray for years, and Ray always said he hated playing in his last year of his contract. It just was going to mess with his psyche. He'd prefer the security, go out there and play. But I think you're right. Like, if Stolarz, if he got to, let's say, 40 starts this year, and his numbers were anywhere close to the way they were the last 2 years, he would make more money.
Yes,
he would make in a 32-team league, he would get more money somewhere else if he hit the market. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, conversely, if he has injuries and his numbers inflate, maybe he wouldn't get $15 million total. So there's always a gamble both ways. But I think it's very reasonable. And I think what is flipped here and what Leaf fans are adjusting to is Tree Living's getting deals that are appropriate. Like, what has happened here is Stolarz, Knies, Tavares, the Leafs are no longer living in this world that they created. And I think it was the guy at the top, not even the guy, the intermediate guy. I'm not even talking Dubas here necessarily. I think it was Shanahan who gave off this impression like you got to overpay, or these guys are never going to want to stay. And you just get it done. Make sure they're happy. And what Tree Living has done here with the Knies deal, the Tavares deal, and now the Stolarz deal is they're playing by the same rules as Carolina, as Florida, as Nashville, as Seattle, as Vancouver, like all these other teams that are like, we're not paying you a Toronto under the bright lights tax because it's so hard here. We got to overpay you. We're not doing that.
Nope.
Like, that's not going to happen. Like, we're going to pay you appropriately. And I think that's what has happened here. And that's a good sign for the Leafs because it was long overdue. They were handing out deals. They were losing deal after deal after deal. And it's not that the player didn't match it at some point.
Right.
And I get it. It's complicated with superstars. Like with Matthews and Marner and Nylander, it's complicated. But you can't sewer yourself at the negotiating table and then expect to win on the ice. It's got to be balanced. And that balance has arrived here.
You're right. And it is specific to every player. Remember, we had conversations where, Timo Meier scores 40, Willie gets to 40. It's like, well, Willie needs 11 and a half, Meier takes 9.
Right.
And you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
But what Tree's done is paying these guys what they want appropriately within the structure of the team. You're right. There's no extra Toronto tax. I always say it. And I grew up in Edmonton. There probably is a little cold weather tax there, maybe Winnipeg. There's some marketplace that you might have to pay a little bit more to attract. Now, McDavid, the golden goose being there, has attracted some guys on value contracts. But outside of that, Toronto's built a winning program where people want to be there because it's like, hey, we've been in the playoffs 9 years in a row. I want to be a part of that. It's not, hey, we're hoping to make the playoffs or wishing, all of that. You've got structure in place. You've got a great coach. To me, there's a lot of factors that check things off to come to Toronto. And other organizations have created that. Yes, Dallas and Tampa, there's tax and tax things.
Sure, and that applies in some areas.
But ultimately, those are good programs too.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa's got a great program. So does Florida. So does Dallas. But in the end, you nailed it. This is not overpaying, but it's just it's appropriate for the player.
It's
and
a
the
level
player's
playing
happy
field.
with it.
Exactly. And it should be a level playing field, especially when it's your own guys.
Yes.
That's what's important. Could there be a tax in free agency, getting someone that's not familiar with any place? Yes, that can happen. Yes, and then you got to make the decision, am I comfortable doing that or not as the GM? Do I want to pay him $1 million more than I value him at? You got to make that call. That's what you get paid money for. That's what the 32 GMs have to do. But to keep your own people, the idea that they keep pushing the envelope on a tax, that's what was troublesome. That's where the Leafs kept damning themselves and being like, we got to pay this guy more than he should be getting paid when he wants to be here. And what the Leafs have done, clearly, again, yes, they've won. I understand in the playoffs. I get it. Right. They got to own that. They got to change that reputation. But they have been in the playoffs 9 straight years. That's more than any other team in the NHL. And they have a first-class infrastructure that very few teams in the league have. Very few. In terms of what they supply the players, what they have available for the players, how the players are treated on the road, how they're treated when they show up in the morning. The resources are borderline unparalleled. There's some teams
Right.
that can match it, but the Leafs, they treat their players incredibly well. They treat them very well. And what should come with that is a level playing field. That doesn't mean, they should be expected, the players should be expected to give back a ton. In some cases, they have. Tavares, again, if he hit the market, he would have made more money than he got here. He wanted to stay.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
But even that is an example of what we're talking about, where the Leafs are understanding of that. They're going to pay you. Not going to pay you $1 million, $1.5 million.
exactly.
But,
Yeah.
you got to throw us a bone here a little bit. You had a good run for 7 years. You want to be here for another 4 or 5? Throw us a little bit of a bone because we've treated you so well. To the credit of John Tavares, he did that. And he's not complaining about anything. He's not standing outside the bank saying, hey, everyone, come look at my statements now. Yeah. He's playing. He's showing up, and he's working hard, and he's a part of the Leafs. And that's what he wanted.